Hello, and welcome to this presentation, Getting Started with the CMA180 Marker Beacon Testing. In this presentation, we'll show how to configure marker beacon signal generation on a Rohde Schwarz CMA180 radio test set. This presentation assumes a basic understanding of the marker beacons used in aviation as part of the ILS or Instrument Landing System. If you're not familiar with marker beacons, or if you'd like a brief review, you might want to watch the presentation Understanding ILS before beginning this presentation. The CMA180 option enables generation of avionics nav aid signals, including those used in VOR or VHF omnidirectional range, as well as in ILS or the Instrument Landing System. Marker beacons are part of ILS, and thus marker beacon signal generation is also enabled by this option. All marker beacon parameters are user configurable. These include the marker RF frequency and level, as well as the frequency of the tones modulated onto the signal. Predefined settings are provided for the standard inner, middle, and outer marker signals, but custom tones can also be defined. An optional ID signal with a user-defined tone frequency and modulation depth can also be enabled if desired. In the remainder of this presentation, we'll walk through how to configure these settings on the CMA180. Marker beacon generation is started by going to the Global toolbar and then selecting Avionics under the Analog tab. Marker beacon configuration parameters are then accessed via the Marker Beacon tab. This is the main marker beacon screen, which can be divided into two general areas. At the top are the RF, connector, and control parameters. And at the bottom are the AF or audio frequency settings, which determine modulation, that is the tone, on the marker beacon signal. The Start and Stop button on the right side of the window is used to enable and disable signal generation. Let's start by looking at the general parameters along the top of the screen. On the left, we can set the frequency of the marker beacon and the level of the RF output signal. The default frequency is 75 MHz, which is the standard frequency used for marker beacons. An external attenuation value can also be added to adjust for any gain or loss in the RF output path. In the center, we can select which connectors are used for outputting the RF and/or AF marker beacon signal. Note that these can be enabled or disabled individually using checkboxes. The level setting in units of volts is the level of the audio frequency signal. And on the right, the checkbox Start Generator Automatically will cause the CMA to begin transmitting the marker beacon signal as soon as the Generator tab is selected. Now let's look at the marker beacon modulation settings, which are found in the lower portion of the main screen. Recall that marker beacons are differentiated in part by audio frequency. Outer markers use 400 Hz, middle markers use 1300 Hz, and inner markers use 3000 Hz. These are available as presets on the CMA180, and the frequency can also be manually specified if necessary. The info field in the upper right portion of the main screen uses circles with the standard colors to indicate which marker signal is active. Blue stands for outer marker, amber for middle marker, and white for inner marker. And finally, the optional ID signal can be enabled, which adds a user-specified tone with a definable modulation depth to the generated marker beacon signal. Let's end with a brief summary. The Rohde Schwarz CMA180 radio test set can be used to generate both standard and customized marker beacon signals. This functionality requires the avionics signal generation option K180. The parameters used in generating marker beacon signals are all configurable. These include the RF output frequency and level, as well as the modulation parameters that define marker type, that is outer, middle, or inner. These consist of the tone frequency, which can be set to standard or custom values, as well as the modulation depth. And finally, an additional ID signal can also be optionally configured. This concludes our presentation, Getting Started with the CMA180 Marker Beacon Testing. If you'd like to learn more about marker beacons, other navigational aids, or the CMA180 radio test set, please see the links in the video description. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit us at rohde-schwarz.com.